Welcome to MMAPlay365, I'm Newsome, and I'm here to give you a Base AI recap from our UFC prediction software from last weekend's event at UFC 291. Now the AI from a straight pick prediction accuracy, it did dip below 50%, but to be honest it was a really strange event in general. You know, I think a lot of people fell short on the night in regards to their bets, their handicapping, and I know I didn't profit either. I was down 3 units, so yeah, it was a really strange night, a really fun night, full of finishers. The majority of the fights that won were the favourites, and like I said, only 2 fights went to a decision, so those fights are always going to be very tricky to do well on. And although Base AI did dip below the 50%, which I think it's only like the second or third time it's ever done that since we did launch the AI, there were some really good predictions still within what was done right. And I've said this a million times before, you know, don't judge the AI just on the straight pick prediction accuracy. It really does take you to dig into the numbers, start combining different sets of numbers, using it to try and find a way to beat the bookie, get value against the bookie, and then beat the bookie as well. Of course, if you are just using the straight pick predictions to throw in big parlays and things like that, then that's where it's going to be more valuable to you rather than actually searching for actual value against the bookie. And of course, if that was the case from the weekend, then yeah, you probably didn't have a good event either. But again, from a fun gambler's perspective, you always take that risk when you're looking at just dropping straight pick predictions based on sole winners, nothing to do with the percentages into parlays. However, as the fun gambler, if you hit one of them, then it's red panty night for you and the missus. So that's how it works. We're going to jump straight into it now with the recap, and we start with the value section. The first fight, and this was the beast prediction from Base AI, we've got Uros Medic versus Matthew Semelsberger. Now Medic to win, Base AI had at 64%. Now that alone was very contrary to the gambling community because it seemed like every man and his dog were on Matthew Semelsberger, but Base AI isn't human, it doesn't own a dog, and it liked Medic to win. But not only did Base AI like Medic to win, I think Medic was the biggest percentage prediction across the straight pick predictions on the entire card throughout every fight. So it really did like Medic to win. At 64%, the odds implied is minus 178. So Base AI was saying that Medic should be a moderate favourite at minus 178, but instead you could have got anywhere from plus 125 up to plus 200 on Medic. He opened at around plus 125. All that money went on Semelsberger, and although he closed at around plus 185, it did go as high as plus 200. So even if you'd have took the worst number at plus 125, you'd have still had a ton of value on Medic to win on the money line. Now, if you want to take it one step further, Medic to win inside the distance, 63%. So there was actually only 1% difference between Medic to win outright and Medic to win inside the distance, and this also brings the question in that we've mentioned a few times on these recaps. Do you just take your underdog money line and run, or do you turn greedy and try and get that extra bit of value for the lesser percentage? There's no right or wrong answer. It depends on what you want to do as a person, but it's 63%. Base AI is saying that Medic to win inside the distance by finish should be minus 170. So there's only 8 cents difference on the line between your minus 170 and your minus 178. But at the bookies, you're actually getting plus 275 on Medic to win inside the distance. So you are getting a much tastier line. And then we go one step further again. We've got Medic by KO TKO, which Base AI had at a coin flip just under 50% at 49%. At 49%, odds implied plus 104. Now we're into the plus money, but only just. And it's only just into the plus money, but we're looking at a specific method of victory here. So plus 104 is what Base AI is saying Medic should be to win by KO TKO, and you're getting plus 300 at the bookies. So like I said, this was a beast prediction. You've got value on Medic to win outright. You've got value on Medic to win by finish inside the distance. And then you've got Medic to win by KO TKO. All with nice numbers, all with value against the bookies as well. Super job from Base AI. Next fight, staying in the value section. This is a little bit different though. This is an incorrect prediction from Base AI, but still a prediction that had value when you're looking at the maths and the numbers and the percentage. against the bookies. We've got Derrick Lewis versus Marcos Rogerio de Lima. Now, Derrick Lewis to win, BayZai had at 45%, so it's just short of a coin flip. At 45%, the odds implied is plus 122. At the bookies, Lewis opened actually minus 115, so there was no value there, but man, that money came in on De Lima constantly throughout fight week, and you could have got Lewis at anything up to plus 200. So even if you're not really fussed about being confident that BayZai is picking the correct fighter to win the fight, you're looking at the numbers, the maths. 45% is saying plus 122, but you're getting plus 200 at the bookies. There's value there. We can even go a step further. Lewis to win inside the distance, of course. He's known for his knockout power, not so much his submissions, but inside the distance to win by finish, 37%. So there's actually only 8% difference between Lewis to win outright and Lewis to win inside the distance. Again, do you choose to be greedy on the underdog, or do you just take the dog? But at 37%, the odds implied is plus 170, and you could have got Lewis to win inside the distance, plus 200 to plus 240. So again, at this point, when you're actually looking at the odds, it's probably just better to take Lewis outright. If you can get him at plus 200 to win outright, then why take inside the distance at around plus 200? It makes no sense. If you did like the plus 240, then again, you could have played that as well. And for this fight, again, we're going to go one step further. We're going to go Derrick Lewis to win by KO TKO. 32% BayZai had that. So again, only 5% difference between KO TKO to inside the distance. Remember, inside the distance is knockout plus submission. So Derrick Lewis doesn't finish fights by submission. He's a knockout artist. So again, if you're looking at the lines, if you're looking at just how he's going to win the fight, you might choose knockout instead of inside the distance because the submission percentage is so small and the likelihood is improbable. At 32%, the odds implied is plus 213. If you wanted to bet it, Lewis to win by KO TKO at the bookies, you'd get anything from plus 225 to plus 250. So there is value there, but again, if you're hitting Lewis at moneyline at plus 200, are you really going to hit plus 225 for knockout TKO when, crazier things have happened in this sport? Look, if you're getting plus 250, if you're getting the higher part of that line, maybe you do make that decision. But all in all, Lewis did win. He did win inside the distance and he did win by KO TKO. Like I said, it is an incorrect prediction from BayZai, but from a value perspective, it's absolutely there. And that's why we include this section in the recaps and the breakdowns of previous numbers and previous events. And we are going to jump into the solid winners section now because we've got a really good one here. It doesn't constitute, in my opinion, as a gem just because there isn't value in some of the numbers that BayZai delivered, but it is still one that hit across the board. We've got Gabriel Bonfim versus Trevin Giles. Now, Bonfim to win, BayZai had at 56%. I would have personally had it at much higher than that, but at 56%, the odds implied is minus 127. So BayZai is saying that Bonfim should be a slight favourite. Bonfim was actually a large favourite at around minus 350. So although a correct prediction, there's no value there. And just quickly cutting in here as well, this is the difference between, picking your value and not, because although BayZai had a correct prediction on Bonfim at 56%, there's no value in betting it. Whereas Derrick Lewis, for example, on the one I've just mentioned previously, yeah, sure, BayZai didn't correctly technically pick him to win the fight, but there's absolutely value there on his money line. So, yeah, look, staying with Bonfim. Bonfim to win inside the distance, that's your knockout and submission added together. And this is always going to be a tricky one with Bonfim because he does have good boxing and good power and he does like exchanging punches, but he's also a legit BJJ player. So maybe people don't want to, risk picking a specific method of victory for someone like Bonfim. Inside the distance, BayZai had 53%, so there's only 3% difference between Bonfim to win outright and for Bonfim to finish the fight. At 53%, the odds implied is minus 113. At the bookies, you'd have got around minus 225. So again, there's no value there to bet Bonfim inside the distance. Now, Bonfim to win by submission, 45%. At 45%, the odds implied is plus 122. At the bookies, you've got anything from plus 130 to plus 150. So now we're starting to find value. And this is why I say always dig into your numbers, because there was no value in Bonfim's money line. There was no value in Bonfim to finish the fight. But now picking submission specifically, which at 45% is ridiculously high, and he did win by submission, you've now got value on a cashed betting ticket. Bonfim to win by submission in round 1, which of course he did, 24%. Odds implied there is plus 317. At the bookies, he was around plus 310. So although very close to value, not so much. So again, looking at Bonfim's fight, no value in the money line, no value in inside the distance, no value in the submission round 1 specifically. But if you want to bet the submission as a singular method of victory, there's value there. So always make sure, if you are purchasing a subscription and you are using Base AI, make sure you dig into the numbers. It really, really will help you try and find value. A few other winners from Base AI as well that I'll quickly jump over. We've got Miranda Maverick versus Priscila Cachoeira. Miranda Maverick to win, 55%. We also had Jake Matthews versus Darrius Flowers. Matthews to win, 62%. Roman Kopylov versus Claudio Ribeiro. Base AI beat me on this one. I actually had Claudio Ribeiro and I bet him to win the fight, but of course Kopylov did, which is the normal case between me versus Base AI, but Base AI had Kopylov to win at 52%. So those are 3 winners just to wrap up the winning section off. But we are just going to finish very briefly on a bad losses section. So it's very rare that we have a bad loss and have to discuss this section, but the criteria that I put on a bad loss is one where the bookie has the fighter that Base AI is picking is a big underdog, and also a fight that I look at it and think, no, that's wrong, like Base AI should have it the other way. But look, this is AI, it's based on numbers, and I'm pretty sure you're going to be able to guess. We're looking at Tony Ferguson versus Bobby Green. Now, what Base AI isn't is a human. He doesn't use eyes and a mind and look and watch fights. Of course, we can see the decline of Tony Ferguson, but from a numbers perspective, Base AI doesn't have that luxury of being able to physically see a decline. Of course, AI has its advantages over humans because there's no bias there and there's no pre-existing, like I say, bias or thoughts or anything like that. So Base AI definitely has its advantages over humans, and of course it beats me more often than not when we go head to head. But in this specific fight, this is constitutes, in my opinion, as a bad loss. Base AI had Tony Ferguson to win at 52%. Odds implied, minus 108. The actual odds at the bookies was plus 300. So Base AI was saying that Tony Ferguson should have been the very, very slightest of favourites. But of course, he was a big underdog. And to be honest with you, Bobby Green did make Ferguson look like the plus 300 underdog he was at the bookies. So, yeah. Bad loss from Base AI. Doesn't happen often. Normally once in about 4 or 5 events. I can't remember the last time I actually did one, but definitely that one constitutes it and fits the criteria from the last event. But all in all, although it was a little bit of a disappointing event from the straight pick prediction accuracy, there was some value in there. And yeah, it was a strange event. Like I said, 10 out of the 12 fights ended by finish, most in round 1. And I think only 3 underdogs won throughout the night as well. So those combined, it's always going to be a tricky night. I'm really looking forward to the fight night, though, next week, where we're in Nashville. We've got a ton of fun fights. I've just dropped the main podcast for that with the breakdowns and predictions on the YouTube channel. So also the other podcast platforms like Spotify, Amazon Music, Apple Music, all that good stuff. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to the AI's predictions for that event because I think it's a really good fight night. And those fight nights, Base AI seems to do really well on. So excited for that. Of course, I'll be back again next week, after this weekend's event to recap the predictions from Base AI for UFC Nashville. So until next week, I'm Newsome. Thank you for tuning in.